you've been talking a lot about Phygitally, the
Yeah.
phygital way of marketing or the phygital way of doing business, actually.
Mhm.
So, what does phygital really mean? Does it mean moving from phygital to digital or from digital to phygital? What is it all about?
So I think it is from a consumer standpoint, how consumer is looking at experiencing a product or service that is going through a transformation. Be it physical or digital, and then comes digital. So it's more of a hybrid, I would say. So consumer looks at a product or a service. How can I consume it? I can consume it in terms of basic features or any USPs of that. I can opt to consume it in person, physically, and there are ways where one can try and consume it digitally. And then comes digital, whereby there is an hybrid platform emerges. So from that standpoint, I think we as a marketer, we don't want to move anything from digital to phygital or the other way around. It's about the consumer and the technology which kind of making the disruption, I would say.
So, it's all about the customer's experience
Absolutely right.
and how you can meet the customer at various locations, whether it's physical or digital. From the brand owner's point of view, particularly in the furniture space,
Mhm.
you work a lot with furniture enterprises, furniture professionals. How do you think the brand owner, the furniture brand owner, should be developing or moving along this track of digital?
So I don't want to be prescriptive because we are seeing a lot of brands and a lot of furniture brands. They are already doing a lot of disruption. What I can do is I can share some anecdotal instances whereby the digital or the digital experience is kind of getting proliferated. Say for us, we are in an industry whereby the actual end product or service is a function of multiple aggregators. So we plywood, laminate, hardware, and then adhesives, multiple things get aggregated. And then it's kind of getting installed. It is getting manufactured in a site and it is getting installed in a very different place. So the digital journey is all about how a consumer is kind of getting hooked into a design, and then the actual promise or the moment of truth is only when he experiences it when it is installed. So from that standpoint, all the manufacturers or any brand owner need to look at the consistency. How am I going to be consistent? What is the messaging which I give in a digital platform? And how am I going to translate that into the actual product, the actual promise getting delivered? So consistency is the key. The second is there are some parts you can solve digitally. There are some parts you have to solve it only in person, or you can solve it only in a physical world. So the furniture makers or any brand owner need to be cognizant of it. Which are all the factors I can do it with in digital? Say, for example, when it comes to design, when it comes to interaction with the customer, where we can make the consumers co-creator for their furniture. So there are aspects where you can actually do things digitally. And the much talked about AI, this again, it's giving a lot of opportunity whereby you can actually co-create a lot of things and try and go close to the consumer as much as possible. So that's something you can do digitally. And when that is getting translated into a physical world, you have to be so sure in terms of installation. So many a times we kind of overlook the installation part. That's a critical element. What you have done in design and what you have manufactured at the time of installation, you have to give that level of importance. That's the promise getting delivered. So the makers, the brand owners have to focus on the consistency when it comes to the installation part. Say for us, so we at Fevicon, we believe we started doing something whereby we started looking consumer from an omni-channel standpoint. right? So that can be even on the manufacturers, the furniture manufacturers also started doing it. Consumer touch based with your brand in multiple channels. You have to be consistent. You have to ensure that the right value proposition is kind of given in the right medium, and you also have to be so open in terms of taking feedback. So that's a one big kind of an opportunity we have in this digital world. We can take feedback actively and then keep our product stroke service. We can co-create with that.
You mentioned feedback. That's a very important aspect of business today, particularly in the digital world where even if you don't want it, you often get unwanted feedback. So how can brand owners solicit feedback, genuine feedback, and how should they encash on that feedback?
Feedback as such is very now. So as you at stated, there are multiple forums, be it positive, more so or negative. So the feedback is kind of either building a brand or kind of an analysis. But as a brand owner, you have to give enough opportunity for the consumer to give active feedback. There are multiple mechanisms which you can do it in a digital world. You can have there's a very simple AI chat box which kind of actively takes feedback in each and every stage. As we know, now this entire furniture manufacturing funnel can be put into different buckets, and already a lot of furniture manufacturers or even the builders, they have a module in place where the construction progress is there digitally, it is feeded back to the consumer. And you need not go physically to visit a site and see the progress, you get an update. And in one of, I don't want to talk about the brand, but there is one brand actively kind of ask the owner on a defined frequency, right? What is your thought on this? What is your feedback on? Say, this is the design which we have co-created. This is how it is there in phase one. What is your feedback? It is very important that we have to define the bucket. How are we going to ask for feedback? If you are not defining the bucket, the feedback will come all around the places. So to some extent, we have to make it very clear to our consumer that these are all the time buckets in that furniture manufacturing funnel. This is phase one. So please give us a feedback on what is your view on this. Then comes the phase two. And you have to define what phase one means to the consumer from the functionality standpoint. Then he get hooked. He actually gives feedback. But it is very important kind of a task. When the digital world, I think one should try and see that how you can make the best use of it.
Often we see that the distortion in feedback happens due to frustration. When there's frustration about not getting through, not being heard,
Absolutely.
being responded to.
Absolutely.
That's when the feedback starts getting distorted, and then even the top leaders have to jump in to, sort of pacify and all that. But that can become quite embarrassing.
Yeah. So fine-fitting as a set of feedbacks, what you're talking about, that's something which in one format or other, all the manufacturers kind of get into that kind of yeah.
You also you spoke about being consistent as a brand, and in the communication at various digital channels. There are so many channels that we are present in, so many social media platforms. Email is there, and then YouTube is. So these are. Is it really possible to be consistent? How easy or difficult is it to be consistent across channels?
It's always a choice as to make. So consistency is the bedrock of that. The choice in this is the only dimension where the brand or any manufacturer should not look for any other option, because consistency is the key. You can always make a choice when it comes to say the cost optimization is of working, or to operate in a market or not cooperate in a market. Those choices you can always make. But if you are very serious in building a brand, if you are very serious in building a long lasting value for your firm or any enterprise for that matter, the bedrock is consistency. So consistency is in a very simple terms, what is your core value which you wanted to demonstrate to your consumer? If you can zero in onto that core value, consistency is just a subset of it. Because for us, we believe that building wants core value of Pidilite. So if we can be very consistent in whatever product, service, or any other offering which we do, this is the only simple reflection which we do. Are we going back to the core? Are we staying core to the purpose which we have articulated for our own self? And then the only way to be so true to the core is being consistent. So consistent is the key. So consistency is the only way where you can send a message across to your consumers that the value proposition is not compromised, and value proposition is always eternal. It is not compromised in any other circumstance. So that's a key. And just to build on what you said, it's not easy. It's actually very tough. And if you look back, or even if you look forward, all the successful brands, one common theme would be the consistency.
One, when you talk of consistency and long-term consistency, one very iconic campaign of Fevicols comes to mind is the sofa,
Sorry. Okay.
which gets passed on from generations to generation. At
Absolutely.
one point, it is even seen hanging up on the wall as a wall piece.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I think you kind of named Deepak. The campaign which you talked about, which we have created for 60 years, where we call it 60 years. And then we kind of, we are very clear that what is our core value? It's about the emotion and the kind of a legacy. And if you look at that, we call sofa campaign, it's one of the it's not a typical 30 second or a 45 second. It's a very long campaign. But we wanted to send that consistent message. It is about building bonds, and it's all about the entire timeline which we wanted to put it across. So if you're true to that, consumers will definitely the reception and the resentment is following the business. You are right. Yes.
Well, it's very interesting to know that the earlier campaigns of Fevicol used to be around the functionality of the product. The hundreds of people sitting on top of the bus and going across a long distance without falling off, implying that they're all bonded by very strong bond. There's a strong bond which keeps them together. To now this emotional band of love and family values, so to say. So from functionality to emotion, the theme is the same, bonding, but the message is different.
I think the functionality is the starting point for any brand. You have to establish over a period of time. You have to demonstrate that you are there that domain where it serves the purpose. But if you can make the journey, if you can connect with the consumer at an emotional tangent, I think that's where you kind of take the brand to the next level, because the functional part is played in a very subtle manner, and you are connecting with the consumer by slice of life anecdotes, or by connecting in the right chord. So that elevates the brand. And to do that, you have to be conscious in terms of not to overdo it also. So that's something one has to be very conscious of where to plug in and where to actually let go and step back. Yeah, so that's a very tricky thing to do.
But you see, you have the Fevicol brand has the luxury of having served so many generations, 60 years, as you mentioned. So your earlier customers are now very senior citizens. And they look back at their attachment or their engagement with Fevicol. So the moment you bring out such a campaign where you underline the emotion part of it, so much of loyalty, so much of love and affection, somehow comes up across the masses. So that is one luxury which very few brands have, and Fevicol does. So it's not easy for everyone to be around for such a long time, number one, and continue, benefiting from such a long presence.
Position. But the key takeout for any aspiring furniture manufacturer, or for that any manufacturer for that matter, it is about looking at what am I trying to solve. So if you look back at Fevicol, the genesis of this brand and this organization, it was solving a very genuine problem which Carpenter had at that point of time. And then we have ensured that we kind of kept pace with the time, because the problem statement has to be iterated in very relevant to the context. And you have to keep upgrading the product and getting into the adjacencies. I think that's what all the manufacturers have to look at, be it, say, the furniture manufacturers or turnkey operators. They have to be very clear in articulating what am I going to solve. There are enough problems for us to solve in our market. We have to identify how am I going to solve in a more cost-effective manner, where the profitability is there for the both all the stakeholders. If that has been articulated in a very sharp manner, then it gets followed up with an action. Brand building is a subset of doing all these things. Right execution on daily basis, if I have to put it. Yeah.
Since you engage a lot with B2B customers, your customers are selling to the end consumer. So the brand value, that the values that come along with the Fevicol brand,
Mhm.
do they get transferred to the your customer, the furniture that they are making and the values of that furniture? Is it possible?
Certainly, yes. I think brand values, or the brand, the equity of a brand, kind of always omnipresent, be it a B2C channel or a digital channel or B2B channel. But the intensity of the way you work, the intensity of brands interaction with the interface or the entire ecosystem. So that might vary from each channel. Perhaps B2B has different challenges. Brand is one part of the story. You have to solve other challenges. Say, typically, how we can optimize the manufacturing cost. Say, for us, Fevicol, so just to give you a very interesting example, we have a very strong brand called Fevicol SWR Max, which gives better coverage and faster drying. So, this solution which we are giving, when we go to a B2B partner, we talk about how it saves us power because of faster drying, because of coverage, how it is going to save the manpower in terms of less spread or in terms of the ease of application. So we did a typical time and motion study with our B2B customers, and then we demonstrated that Fevicol SWR Max optimizes X amount of power, X amount of labor, so that somebody who's doing 3 shifts, they can actually do the work in 2 shifts. So it is all about getting right equation for the B2B partner, and you have to go demonstrate. So for typically for a consumer communication, the entire capsule or the methodology will be very different. So for the same Fevicol product, we will do a lot of demonstration for our on-site carpenters. But when we go to B2B partner, we have to talk their language, we have to understand their overall ecosystem, and then see to that how Fevicol will add value and add a little bit of color to their life. I think that's what we do. Every manufacturer or any brand, for the scale, they have to look at all the channel. It is not just B2C or B2B. So different strokes for different folks, but you have to stay true to your core. That's the basic one has to always deploy.
What other innovations has Fevicol done in its digital marketing and branding activities?
So for us, we're looking at omni-channel. So digital is definitely one play. We have launched an app called Genie app, focusing B2C, and we transact close to 40% of our revenue comes already through the GD app. So for a sizable B2C business, which we do, which is in the line of, I would say, the top tier FMCG companies, stroke, the coatings companies, I think you would be there. That is one. Second, we have launched the same Genie app to our B2B partners as well, whereby they can log in and they can place all the orders. But the catch is this, it's not about the transaction. Again, you have to give them what actually works for them. Say, we have given modules whereby they can look at their GST reconciliation in the Genie app. They can actually look at all their credit notes, all their accounts related activities. Everything is there in their single kind of a. For B2B customers, we are actually plugging in multiple other, say, interactive modules. Say, a factory owner can ask for a glue pot cleaning as a service. So I just click off the button, we can actually ask for a service. In the Genie app, we are trying to build a module whereby we are tracking the power consumption of a factory. So we are actually working with smart meter companies as in when this kind of hits the market. How we can give that as a solution? Because power is a very big cost for any manufacturer, right? So how one can track the cost of power and fuel to slightly expand, and then can I try and plug the module into my smart app and give it as a service. So these are all some of the pieces which we are working on in the B2B space. So for us, it's very simple. So digital is definitely a channel where you have to be active and you have to find a way how you are bridging it in the physical world. And that's where the digital approach is something which we are looking at. If you have to expand again, this entire concept of quick commerce, right? You buy something, you get it delivered. So that's a classic example of a digital world, whereby a digital experience gets translated in 10 minutes, 15 minutes time, right? So that's something which you are already seeing in consumer business. It's not going to be far-fetched idea that it might be translated in home improvement space. As we speak, there are a couple of startups who are already exploring this idea. How can I service a digital stroke of digital world in a 10 minutes time at a site? So these are all the avenues we as Pidilite, we're keeping a close watch, and we see whenever the time is right and we have the right model, we will try and plug it.
Are you planning to offer this 10-minute or X minute service to your B2B customers also?
So it's a very, I would say, a luxury situation you wanted to be in. That's very tough given the scope of operation. We have close to 3% of distributors, which is there across all the pin codes. So we are looking at how our distribution partners can be more agile, how they can service our factories, our OEMs in 24 hours time. So for us, the benchmark is that for now. So we have to wait and watch. If there is a demand, we have to be ready for the moment for a quick service also. Yes.
Thanks a lot for sharing these insights about marketing, Phygitally marketing, and how Fevicol has mastered the art of communication in the physical and digital world across generations, across decades.